Hello wolves! So today we're here to talk about my last 2019 wrap-up, so my December wrap-up. I think I've read 6 books kind of thing. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm right saying 6, but I'm not sure. But whatever. So yeah, let's just jump into it because stop babbling. 6 is not that much. I wasn't like in a reading slump, but I didn't want to read. I just binge watched Suits. I binge watched the channel What If, IO as well, Informed Overload. Also I drew a lot and I did so many other stuff and I didn't want to read, so yeah. And also, I was doing the Winter Magical Readathon that G over at Book Rose created. I'm so behind. I still have to check the last chapter, but I think we're supposed to actually finish before 2020. It's already too late because I'm filming this in 2020. I love saying 2020. But, yeah, so I don't know what I was saying. I already forgot. Oh my gosh, I didn't sleep well. But yeah, let's just talk about the books I read in 2019. So the first book that I've read is Always by Yumi Yamamoto, which is a short graphic novel comic, and I give it 5 stars, not because Yumi Yamamoto is a friend, but because it was so powerful. So basically you have the story of a girl who comes home one day and she finds her ex at the door waiting for her, and they're gonna get back to their old routine kind of thing, and at one point he's gonna ask her something she wasn't expecting him to ask, and it's just gonna be the end of everything. Like, it's gonna be like everything and nothing at the same time. I don't want to say more, but it's very short indeed. It's 34 pages long, and it's so insane how powerful, how strong the stories is. And the stories is, I did something weird, never mind. I was just into it. Like, I was so into the story and I felt so many stuff, and every time, because I've reread that book a few times, and every time I reread it I felt something else, I understood something else. So it's so insane to say that a short comic actually makes you see so many things and feel so many things. So that's whoa. So they both did an amazing thing. So Yumi Yamamoto for the story and her friend for the art, which is absolutely incredible. So 5 stars, easy 5 stars. Then I've read the first, second and third book in the same series. So you know the Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell, so that's the first one. Then I've read Explorers on Witch Mountain, and then Explorers on Black Ice Bridge. I've listened to them all on script. I actually have the first book as a physical copy, like I have the actual book, but I started reading it, then I switched to script and I really enjoyed the audiobook actually, so I continued with the audiobook. And now I'm like, do I have to buy the second and third book in the series because I'm never gonna read them actually, or maybe I could reread them, but I listened to the other book, so I'm like so confused. But I gave the first one 5 stars and the 2 others 4 stars just because I loved all the books so much. The first one especially because I feel that's the same thing I have with all the series. Like, when I jump into a series, the first book is usually the one that I prefer because I discover everything. I fall in love with the characters, I love the twist, I love the writing style, etc, etc. Then when I move to the second and third book, I already know the world building and what the world looks like, so I'm like less surprised than in the first book. It doesn't mean that it's less good, it just means that I felt differently reading that book because I knew what I was like about to see, or about to read about. You know what I mean? And this is power fantasy, middle grade power fantasy, and it has to do with a girl who wants to be an explorer, but she cannot be one because she's a girl, and no girls can be an explorer. But something's gonna happen and she's gonna make it, and she's gonna become an explorer with her dad, and it's just a super cute story. I love the friendship in it. I love all the little stories you have in it, like what you can do, what you cannot do, what you can trust, what you can experience, etc, etc. It's really good for middle grade because you actually have like life facts. I don't want to say life facts because it's fiction, it's fantasy, but you can learn stuff, you know, you can take something out of it. So I really enjoyed them. Then I've read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, even if it's so weird because I really love the story. Basically, this is a girl who goes to uni, and you know, there are a different kind of societies kind of thing at uni, like you have in other university. You don't really have that in Belgium, but you have that like in the States, etc. And all the different societies that have different, like, let's say, goals or power kind of thing. One's gonna be necromancy, the other one's gonna be like, I don't know, plant magic. I'm just making that up, so I'm not spoiling anything for you. And they do their stuff, blah blah blah, and one day the main character is gonna actually see a body, a girl who's actually dead, and she's gonna be like, okay, that's not normal. Okay, a death is not normal, but I mean, it was done by one of the society because it looks suspicious, whatever. So she's gonna go through that fantasy, like, mystery thriller kind of thing, and it is an adult book. I don't know if I said it, but it's an adult fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was like working through the story, reading it, and at some point I felt like bored. Like I didn't feel like the pressure, I didn't feel the suspense, I didn't feel like the tension in the book as a lot of people did, and I didn't feel it was that dark. Actually, it was getting darker because the first 100 pages, yeah, the first 100 pages were like, I was like, okay, it's good, but it's not like mind-blowing. It's like, okay, whatever. And then 100 pages in, I was really into it because I was really intrigued by everything happening at that point. But at the same time, nothing really mind-blowed me. I don't know if you can say that in English, but whatever. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the best book, so that's why it's not gonna be a 5 stars, it's gonna be a 4 stars. I found the ending very predictable, but that's usually the case in fantasy. Like, when you read thousands of fantasy books, usually you can predict the end, so that's not the problem of the book. That's what I'm trying to say. So I really enjoyed it, but I'm excited for the sequel. Actually, I really want to know what's gonna happen. I love the cover, that book is gorgeous. It is Leigh Bardugo, so at this point I think I'm gonna buy anything she will come up with. It doesn't mean that she's one of my favorite authors, it means that I usually like her books. But yeah, so 4 stars. And the last book I finished in 2019 is actually Vengeful by V. Schwab. This was gifted to me by Alex. Thank you so much again for that. And she also got me like Vicious. She's crazy. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Again, same reason, because I knew what world I would get into while starting the book. So I wasn't as surprised. But I really enjoy her way of telling stuff. Like, she tells you something, and then 4 days ago, 4 years ago, 4 months ago, 2 days ago, now, 4 years ago, blah blah blah. You know, she goes back in time, etc. Now back, and I really love that, and it keeps you like at the edge every time, and especially because the chapters are quite short. So I'm like always like, oh, one more, and there is always something happening. Like, every fucking chapter has a reason to be there, which is not usually the case in every single book, but I felt like it was the case for Vengeful. And apparently that duology became a trilogy. I had no idea it was supposed to be a trilogy, but it's gonna be a trilogy. I don't know when it's gonna come out. I think it's gonna come out in 2021. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, I have no idea. But I really love Vicious and Vengeful. I love the characters in it. So basically the story is 2 guys are at university and they're studying stuff, blah blah blah, and they are doing a master thesis, I think, or is it just a thesis? I'm not sure, I forgot that detail. I think it's a master thesis, whatever. And they're gonna go through some stuff like near-death experience kind of thing, and in order to get extraordinary, meaning that they will get some kind of power, because apparently those people are a thing at the time, and they're going through some dangerous stuff. And it's so much more than that. It's just that, for me, it's a perfect way to summarize morally gray characters and the way that life is not all red. Why red? because of the cover I had, never mind, all black, all white. It's great as well. And the good guy might be the bad guy for someone else, and the bad guy might be the good guy for someone else, you know, from different points of view, etc, etc. So I really love that series for that. So yeah, there is another book that I'm in the middle of, and this is Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. Yeah, so this is a sequel to A Discovery of Witches. I'm in the middle of it. It is an adult fantasy book. It's very, I would say, it has paranormal because it has witches, it has vampires, etc, etc. It's fiction, yes, historical fiction heavy, because the main character is actually studying history. And in the second book, I'm not gonna say what's gonna happen, but she's gonna experience that history another way. And you're gonna have lots of facts, whether they're all true or no, that's not what I mean, but you feel like you are revisiting the story, the history of all time. And I'm really loving that, and loving the writing style, loving the twists, loving everything about it. Even if I prefer so far the first one, because the second one is not as intense. But yeah, I feel like in the first one I was more like on the edge, and I was like more eating every single words on the pages. Like now I'm more like going through the story like lightly. I mean, I want to read it, but I don't need to read it. Like I don't feel like the need to open my e-reader and start rereading, you know, the next chapter or whatever, or rereading. Why rereading? Just read the next chapter. But yeah, it's still very enjoyable. I'm still really loving it, so that's good. But yeah, well, so that's it for my last 2019 wrap up. I didn't do that good, but actually 6 books is actually good, but it's not like as good as I aimed for, kind of thing. But yeah, let me know in the comment section how you did. And yeah, but yeah, well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the pack. Talk to me in the comment section as usual. And until next time, take care, wolves. Bye.